I'm Courtney Velasco with Turkish-American Television. We are joined in studio today by talented musical duo Koray, Ergunay, and Zulfugar Baghirov. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You may have seen them recently perform at local DC venue Rhizome. It was their first live performance together, completely improvised, and also a chance for them to record their first full-length album, which is very exciting. Incredible performance. Can you tell us a little bit about what led up to that performance? How did you meet? When did you start playing together? What was that journey like?
It was actually not so long ago, I guess, before the Rhizome recording or gig, which was late October. We probably met 2 months ago before that, if I'm not mistaken, right? We started getting together, improvising. And yeah, then it's led to those like what has been coming through. We really liked it, and we were looking for gigs. And Rhizome was kind enough to actually give us a spot to open up for another gig. So that's how it just went through.
So how would you describe your music as you were playing it at Rhizome? What would someone expect when they go to a concert?
We are actually, our musical view, once we first played with Koray, we realized how our musical view is very, very similar. And we like to improvise in a manner of free improvisation. And this is basically what was this album, this concert about. We didn't really talk about how it's going to be, what it's going to be about. Is it going to be 5 tunes, 3 tunes, the length of it, etc. So it was very spontaneous playing, very similar to what we rehearsed with Koray prior, and that's basically how we recorded the first album.
So it's been described as a very personal experience. You are expressing yourself and the way you feel in the moment through music. How do you collaborate with each other as a team on something so personal?
Actually, first I guess you have to have really a deep background of your instrument and the technical ability on your instrument, and a willingness to actually open up to someone else's musical ideas being thrown at you. This is inherent in the music that is, I don't want to call it straight like jazz, but it is jazz, the musical style, which inherently has that thing about the improvisation. So you gotta be open to that. You have to be in a position that you have paid your dues, you know your instrument well, and you're open to reacting to the ideas that's been thrown at you, or you wanna collaborate. So once you have that vision, it really doesn't matter what type of music you want to play, or what kind of structure that you're being in. Whatever I hear from Zulfugar, I respond to that, and he does the same. And not only you just respond and put out some sounds, they can be notes, they can be just some noise, scratches on your instrument, something. You have to be aware of the total composition that's been happening in real time as well. So it is like an exercise in consciousness and spontaneity, and it's so fun, so great to play and to listen to as well, isn't it?
True, and it's interesting how during the performance, the feelings, you're asking about the feelings are very different compared to when you hear that music back, because we really feel that it's not really like executing. Of course, we're practicing our instruments on a daily basis, but when we're performing, the kind of main idea is to really forget about everything and stay true to the sound what is created at that moment. And as it's created, like Koray mentioned, forms and composition starts being developed as it goes.
Also, there's also the dreamlike, at least for me, there's like a dreamlike experience to it as well. You're living through it, but you can actually structure it. You can just lead it. You can make it go this way or that way. So it's really such an experience. And you feel the same when you're actually part of the audience as well. When you're listening to that, you see that interaction. It is also something that you want to see a live show as well. It's so different from recorded music or recorded or rehearsed music, where you expect actually, you know what's to come, you know the song, they're going to play almost like the same, and that's what the expectancy is. This is actually quite different. You go to a gig to see people improvise, to be at that moment, and how that, and you're also part of that environment as well. If you react truly to the music being played, actually it also has an effect on the musicians as well. So you become part of the happening, if I may.
Wow, I love that. So it is true that when you go to a live performance, you are taken on a journey, and I've never heard it quite expressed in this way, or maybe seen this type of music where the audience is also participating in how the music is churning out or being played. So you mentioned something interesting to me, that someone with an untrained musical ear, I would think that this type of improv musical style would be very easy. You just get up on stage and play. But you mentioned that you actually need a lot of experience and you really need to know your instrument. Can you both tell us about your history with music, and how did you get into the field of music, and what led you to meeting each other?
Thank you. I started with music from a very, very early age. I started with playing violin, and really didn't have any other choices, because all of my parents and my parents' parents as well, they're all musicians. This was kind of destiny for me to play a musical instrument, to be involved in music. And I started with violin, like I said, at 5 years old, and later on I switched to a woodwind instrument, clarinet. And that's after going to school, I was very, very interested in jazz music, and that also led me into saxophone. So I studied clarinet in Baku, Azerbaijan, in a school called Bulbul. After that, I studied at Istanbul University. I graduated from Istanbul University, and the year I graduated, actually, I received a letter that I was one of the finalists to receive a scholarship to get to Berklee School of Music, Berklee College of Music. So then it was year 2000 when I moved. Well, at that time I just came to study music at Berklee, and since then I'm playing music around here.
So it's safe to say not only was music in your blood, it's in your heart and soul, and you don't really know what you would do if you weren't doing music.
True, very true, yes.
It's really incredible. What about your journey?
Yeah, mine is quite different, but the passion is also here. Yeah, my family wasn't as musical as Zulfugar's, but there was always some records, classical and otherwise, and my brother was playing an instrument always. Like, there had been bass guitars and guitars in the environment, so I was lucky in that. In the high school, during the high school times, I actually found my passion about. I was not so passionate as a kid. Then I realized, well, that's something that I can really, dive deep into. It really helped a lot with the teenage angst that I had and all the environment. So I was growing up in Ankara. So the high school environment was also very musical, if I can say. We had a great music teacher, and he really helped us a lot. His name was Güneş Apay, and I really want to mention him here because Yeah, so it was really a very great environment. But then I went to medical school. Then I'm here. I'm relatively new around here. It's been over 2 years.
That you moved to the...
That I moved to the stateside. I'm doing research here, microbiology, virology, basic science. But the musical passion was there even before the medical career started, the education started. So in contrast to Zulfugar, was a great background, and he's so talented. I'm self-taught. I'm just keeping my ears open. I'm trying to do my best.
I think it's really interesting how there is a direct correlation between the music side of the brain and the science side of the brain. So you kind of, it makes sense to me that you would be very musical and also very clinical. I think that's really neat. So tell me how you guys met. How did this partnership come about?
I guess I should get started because I just said I was new in the environment and I was just looking for players to jam and come up with projects. So I just asked, I had met this mutual friend of ours, Amy Boumet, and she was kind enough to actually give Zulfugar's number to me, and to this day she calls us, oh, this is the output of my musical matchmaking, and now they have a release and they're still together. So we always make fun of that. Hi, Amy. We also have a plan to jam with her as well. So that's something we can touch later. But yeah, so that's how it started. So we got introduced to each other. I guess it was over Instagram or maybe phone. I'm not sure. Some sort of.
I think text messaging first. We started. That's how.
The Gen X. Yeah, we should probably be texted. Yeah, right. And then we got together. We started playing. We started rehearsing at Zulfugar's.
Right, and literally from the very first note when we played, because again, this is not anything. We didn't even agreed on a certain standard tune to do. We didn't even talked about it. We just said, okay, 1, 2, 3, go, and we started playing. And actually, all our even first rehearsals are documented. We recorded it, and we're actually going back and listening to them, learning from that experience what we did for the very first time. And there's a very interesting musical interaction happening there that it's really like Koray said, when we're playing, we can change direction, we can be in charge of some element of music, but on other hand, there are a lot of times where we're literally just a witnessing of a process of a music unveiling. So it's like a dream state, almost like a dream state where you're almost controlling what you're doing, but at the same time you letting the music happen. You don't want to interfere with it, and that's what I wanted to say. That literally happened from the very first note when we started playing, and we knew that the music is going to be talking to each other.
We still have those recordings, and
yes,
maybe we're gonna release them. So this interaction actually led to us looking for gigs, and Rhizome was kind enough to offer us one. So
let's take a listen, and we will share with you where to find this incredible music. That was so touching. I really felt the emotional journey on that one.
Thank you.
I really highly recommend people find your music and listen to it as soon as possible, because each song is so different. Each time you play it, even no two albums would be the same. No two songs would be the same. How do you come up with names for the songs? How do you even interpret what that name should be?
Koray is very good about that. He pretty much named all the songs of this album, and it's a spot on.
Thank you so much. It's great hearing that. I usually end up coming up with the names, even with my previous releases as well. And I don't know, it's just, you think about the overall thing and how that moment was reflected on you, and you come up with a name. I don't know, I was always interested in titles of particular songs, and how it does not relate to the sounds being produced. So we're talking about music without lyrics at all. So basically, any title can go along with the song as long as you're confident about that. But it's really, it's something that about the titles of this release really resonates both of us. So I enjoy doing that, and people are mostly okay with it.
I thought it was fantastic, and once I started listening, I couldn't stop. I had it on while I was doing things around the house. I had it on in the car. It's really the type of music you can listen to anywhere, everywhere, and it does touch you on a very deep level. And it also, I feel like, resonates with your nervous system, and it kind of calms you down and opens you up to life. So we really appreciate your contribution here, and so excited to see more. What's next?
We're working actually on our second album already, and we decided to make that album completely different in terms of the first, how the first was recorded. And this particular album, we're working together with Koray. It's going to have more compositional work in it, and we have also other instruments. For example, I will play guitar, I will play some electronic loops in it, I will play digital saxophone, and because of course I cannot do it all at once, it's going to be recorded in stages as composition comes together, and then we're recording it on top of the composition, so to speak, right? Correct?
Yeah, exactly. We are really excited about that. We recorded, I guess, 3-4 compositions so far using that approach, and they really sound great. I'm just looking forward to releasing them. And maybe it depends. With this upcoming release, we might include some of the initial improvisations as well,
That's
right?
a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
maybe.
some of them, like maybe an A, B side. Well, we don't have any sides anymore because, things change.
For the C side.
Yeah, for the C side,
yeah.
So there's also a possibility of that. We are also, we have plans to include maybe a percussion player or a drummer and see where it goes. But the current plans is to finish and release this different approach that we have with Zulfugar.
So kind of the next approach is a more layered one and more in-depth kind of musical experience.
Exactly.
And then the next one would be more collaborative with other musicians and things like
Yes.
that.
Like that.
What musical influences contributed to your music as you play it today and individually? And then how did you bring that together?
The influence was, the total realm of jazz, if I may call it, is the improvisation. While you have a structure and you build onto it, you are free within that structure. It all started from that. So that's how our music actually relates to jazz more than any other genres. the improvisation, the spontaneity of it, it puts a lot of effort, burden on your shoulders to actually be creative when your audience is there and when you're performing. So you have to be coherent. You have to be like aware compositionally. It's not like, oh yeah, I don't have anything to practice for today's performance. I'll just go there and play whatever comes into it. Not at all. You have to be really in interaction with your fellow musicians and also with the audience as well. And you have to be constantly thinking about how to move forward to music. Is it long enough? Has there been an expression that has really moved what you have been feeling to the audience? Where to stop? Where to actually start? It's beyond notes. So basically, I can tell you a number of names which happen to be jazz musicians mostly. I probably need to mention Aydin Esen, the Turkish jazz pianist that had a huge influence on us, on me, and I'm sure Zulfugar as well. It's not like a technically proficient player on a particular genre. It's the expression. The instruments are here not very important, but you have to be technically capable, and the approach should be there. So you have to have open ears to understand what's going on and see how can you, with your instrument, contribute to that flow to make it more meaningful. It is not just playing notes. Sometimes silence is effective. Most of the times more effective than playing a note in there. So it's basically that environment, that spontaneity in improvisations that actually allured me to this route. And if you have a kindred spirit like Zulfugar, that you can spontaneously create meaningful sounds that really speaks from your soul, it's really great. It's not an easy thing. There's other practices or a mindset you have to actually have to be able to do it on top of the technical proficiencies and like good hearing of potential chords and a good understanding of the ongoing composition. Right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And you're absolutely right about the proficiency on the instrument. Like Dave Liebman would say,
exactly.
Pretty much every improvising musician, not necessarily jazz, because improvisation could be in a different styles, but every improvising musician has to be on their game in terms of their technical proficiency. And of course, when we play a freestyle improvisation, like you mentioned, the expression of the music, of course, it is very expressive, and at the same time, it puts a lot of not the pressure, but responsibility on the player of how to arrange that during the time when you're playing something that is not written. And that's basically what Koray and I we really enjoy doing that and developing that feeling throughout the playing.
What song on your album is your favorite or most surprised you when you finally had a chance to listen to it for the first time after playing it live?
I have a very definite response to that.
All right.
And but I want to hear yours first.
For me, actually, each and every time I listen to it, it invokes different feelings. Sometimes I could listen to a first tune that we recorded, which was, retrospectively looking at, this is really the very first time when we played on public, right? I listen to it, and sometimes I start remembering what I was thinking during that time, and sometimes I may not even be aware where music may take my mind to somewhere else. But what
exactly you said the first piece. I mean,
oh, really?
I'm
okay.
always very cognizant of that.
Okay.
So it was our first gig, improvising with an audience. So we really didn't know. We knew something magical would surface, but we didn't know how. So we just from the first note at the end. I guess we played the same.
We played the same note in the very end at exactly the same time. We never talked about it. It just happened.
No key centers, nothing.
Nothing.
It's just one starts playing and we just follow. And the composition, the content, the ups and lows, the sensitive parts and the louder parts. It was really. It felt like a composition. It felt great when we were playing it. You can just see the baby is being born or not, something new is being released into the air. So that was magical. So once the first song was finished, I was sure this is gonna be magical.
Yeah, and it led to all the material that we played.
It's not that they're less of
not
impact.
At all. Yes.
We were just expanding on the same thing. So yeah, that's
very true.
Yeah, that was such an experience.
You say magical. That is the word I would describe this duo, is a magical collaboration. You never knew each other prior, and then you come together, and it was like meant to be, and totally in sync. And thank you, Koray and Zulfugar, for coming with us and sharing your beautiful music today in studio.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. It's been such a pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Thank you
we
very
look
much.
forward to the next live performance and all the rest.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good job, everyone here. I am Ergunay. Thank you so much.